Singapore is a small country and only an island, but it is very well known internationally for its uniqueness. Singapore is a country where everything looks organized, clean, and modern.
Singapore's history is a remarkable tale of transformation. Originally a small fishing village known as Temasek, it regained strategic importance due to its location along vital maritime trade routes. In 1890, Sir Stafford Raffles established a British trading post on the island, marking the beginning of modern Singapore. It became part of the Strait Settlement and flourished as a key port in the British Empire. During World War II, Singapore was occupied by the Japanese from 1942 to 1945, a traumatic period that deeply affected its people. After the war, Singapore gradually moved towards self-governance, eventually gaining full independence in 1965 after a short-lived merger with Malaysia. Since then, under strong leadership and a focus on economic development, Singapore has rapidly evolved into a global financial hub known for its stability, efficiency, and multicultural society. Singapore is a parliamentary republic with a political system that blends elements of both Westminster democracy and its own unique structure. The country has a unicameral legislature, means one house parliament, and the head of state is the president, who is elected by the people and holds mostly ceremonial power, although the role includes some important custodial functions like safeguarding the national reserve and key public service appointments. The Prime Minister is the head of government and holds the most executive power. The Prime Minister is usually the leader of the majority party in parliament and is appointed by the President of Singapore's parliament. Is made up of members of parliament who are elected during general election typically held every 5 years. Singapore is known for its dominant party system, which the People's Action Party (PAP) has been in power since independence in 1965. While opposition parties exit to participate in elections, the PAP has consistently won a majority of seats, giving it strong control over legislative decisions. The political system emphasizes stability, efficiency, and meritocracy, and is also known for its strict law and low tolerance for corruption. However, critics have raised concerns of limited political competition and restriction of freedom of speech assembly.
Economic overview of Singapore. Singapore has positioned itself as a global economic powerhouse. Its strategic location has made it a dominant force in global trade, anchored by one of the world's busy ports. In addition, Singapore is a leading financial center in Asia, attracting major institutions and investors from across the globe. The strength of its economy is underpinned by key sectors, including advanced manufacturing, particularly in electronic and biomedical science, as well as financial service and international trade. Singapore's success is no accident. The country has built a reputation for being open, efficient, and business friendly. It offers low tax, strong legal protection, and transparent regulatory environment, all of which make it a top destination of global investment. Looking ahead, Singapore continues to prioritize innovation and technology by investing in research, digital infrastructure, and workforce development. The country maintains one of the highest GDP per capita in the world and a strong foundation for long-term growth. Singapore is not just thriving in the present, it is actively building in the future. Through its Smart Nation initiative, the country is embracing digital transformation across government, business, and daily life, with strong investment in research and development and a growing startup scene. Singapore is positioning itself as a leading innovation.
Singapore's social and cultural landscape is characterized by its rich multiculturalism and strong emphasis on group harmony and respect for hierarchy. The society is primarily made up of four main ethnic groups: Chinese, Malay, Indian, and smaller Eurasian and other communities. This ethnic diversity is reflected in the country's languages, religions, and cultural practices. When we talk about social values and national character, meritocracy is a key principle in Singapore, ensuring opportunities based on ability regardless of race or socioeconomic background with compulsory primary education for children. Racial harmony is heavily emphasized by the government, with initiatives like Racial Harmony Day in schools to promote mutual respect among ethnic groups. The society values group harmony, family unity, and respect for elders, influenced by Confucianism, which shapes hierarchical relationships in families and workplaces. Singapore is a secular state where religious tolerance is promoted, though some critics point to ethnic Chinese privilege due to the majority population. But when we talk about cultural expressions in neighborhoods, distinct ethnic neighborhoods preserve cultural heritage and serve as business and social hubs. Chinatowns reflects Chinese cultural heritage, and as an example, Little India is known for Indian cuisine and cultural vibrancy. Meanwhile, Kampong Glam and Geylang Serai are Malay cultural centers with heritage sites and festivals like the Hari Raya Bazaar. Singapore also have a strong emphasis on green spaces, earning the nickname Garden City, a vision promoted by founding leader Lee Kuan Yew to avoid urban concrete jungles. Social etiquette and lifestyle. The family is central to social structure, extending beyond the nuclear family to include close friends treated as family. Respect for elders is deeply ingrained, with elders given preferential treatment in social and formal settings. Singaporeans pride themselves on being egalitarian yet maintain respect for hierarchy in social and professional contexts. Food culture is vibrant and communal, with hawker centers offering diverse cuisines from the various ethnic groups serving as important social spaces. In summary, Singapore's social and cultural fabric is characterized by its ethnic diversity, emphasis on racial harmony, meritocracy, family values, and a blend of traditional and modern influences, making it a dynamic and multicultural society where East meets West.
So, with me, we will talk about the policy issue in Singapore government. They have a several issue in Singapore government, which is the first one is concern about military influenza in government. In March 2025, Singapore Parliament proposed a controversial amendment to the defence regulation that will allow former military official to hold key civilians government position. The most has sparked debate among the academic, young group, and civil society organisation. Concerns have been raised that it could lead the resurgence of military influenza in politics, which is reflection past government practice. Then the next issue is about dominant one-party system. Singapore has long been governed by the People Action Party (PAP) since its independence. Despite a democratic electoral system, the People Action Party (PAP) continue dominance and has raised concern among the public about the lack of diversity of voice and view in the law making process and also government decision. The lack of political competition is fair by the people to lead a lack of accountability and transparency in government administration.
Okay, the issue of the security in Singapore, that is the human trafficking. Human trafficking is the refer to illegal trade of the people, usually forced labor or the sexual exploitation. That is the stat is the 97 of victims are women and children, especially in the 2023 following the COVID-19. Singapore is listed tier 2 that increase the government effort through. The first government should do is the government in Singapore should do the investigation first, prosecution, and Conviction of the suspect traffickers is most important to do there in the Singapore government. And also the issue of the new migrant worker protection law. This means the government Singapore should make a new protection of law to another migrant worker come to Singapore, like the Bangladesh, like the Myanmar in the ASEAN group, especially.
We will be diving into issue economy in Singapore. The first issue is weakening domestic demand. Domestic demand refers to the total amount of goods and service consumed within the country, including spending by household, business, and the government. In recent times, concerns have risen over slowing consumer spending. This means that Singapore consumers are cutting back on their purchase, especially non-essential items. But why? Because there are several possibilities like rising living costs may be forcing people to save more and spend less, and job market uncertainty and global instability may cause families to become more cautious. The second issue is depreciation of Singapore dollar. This means the SGD or the Singapore dollar is losing value compared to other foreign currency like the US dollar or euro. So, what the factor causing this depreciation? The first factor is there has been a decline in global investment confidence. The second factor is rising trade tension. The third factor is capital outflow and conservative government policy have also contributed to the weakening of the currency. The other factor is some analysis say that the pressure Singapore is facing now is similar to the 2008 global financial crisis. The last factor is the US and China trade wars, and tariff policy are having a direct impact on Singapore economy since it relies heavily on global trade.
Then we will talk about the social issue in Singapore. The most significant issue in Singapore is emergence of the Save Our Young SG movement. This movement was sparked by limited job opportunity, stagnant wage, and rising education costs. Many Singapore people, especially young people, have expressed their desire to migrate for better opportunity. The movement reflects growing concern about social inequality and declining optimism among Singapore young generation. Si- Besides that, Singapore also faced with the issue aging population. This issue driven by increased life expectancy and decline birth rates. The increase in the increase in number of older people result in significant increase in spending on healthcare service and also facility. This issue has also led to reduction in the young workforce, which is putting pressure on the economy. Furthermore, Singapore also faced with the significant income difference issue. The income index in Singapore show a larger dispersion in income and wealth in recent years. Several official Singapore government websites show an increases concentration of wealth in the hand of a few people, with a richest individual accumulating a disproportionate share of the country asset. This concentration of wealth has led to increased sharp social and economic disparities.
In conclusion, Singapore's journey from a small trading port to a global economic hub is a remarkable example of strategic governance and resilience. The issue also can be resolved with smart planning and continued strong leadership.